All right, Donut. The goblins are coming. You gotta stay right here. Don't go. No. God damn it, Donut. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I got yelled at last time for not having the cat in the video when I had her in the thumbnail. So she's definitely here, and I've left her in, so you might see her decide to climb back up on my shoulder or move around during the video because we're going for maximum cat in this one. So, anyway, I wanted to do this video to talk about the Dungeon Crawler Carl series because it is one that I have really enjoyed and never would have expected it, but my review of the first book in Dungeon Crawler Carl is actually one of my top viewed all-time videos. It's really high up on that list. And I never would have expected that. So I realized after starting the series kind of why it's so popular. And I want to talk about it because it is definitely a little bit different than what you might initially think it's going to be. And so it definitely goes in some different directions. So we start with Dungeon Crawler Carl, where, of course, Carl's just a normal guy who has a cat. There's a complicated thing with that, too. But then aliens come. Everyone inside buildings, everything just implodes, and then doors open to this dungeon, and you find out it's just basically, you can choose to go into the dungeon and fight and play this kind of big game for a chance to survive, or you're pretty well done for. And the tagline being the apocalypse will be televised. So it's a lit RPG type of thing, which are pretty hit or miss for me, but with an interesting concept for how it starts. And it's one of those things where you think about it, it can either be used for comedy or it can be looked at as kind of the dark situation that it really is, which both are absolutely done in this book. And I think that's kind of the thing is the first book starts off where there's a lot of kind of silly humor here, and especially because we have an AI that is narrating everything that's going on. And the AI especially tends to have a lot of inappropriate style of humor and that kind of thing. And so you get a ton of that going on. But also, like, thinking about how messed up this is and how there are actually quite a lot of, super dark moments here and things going on. And towing the line with that is at times, I think, difficult. But it's done actually really, really well in this series. Now, originally, when I read the first one, I really, really did like it. It was kind of funny with the horrifying moments, and it was just this fast-paced kind of, action-adventure thing. And then getting to the second book, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, I'm like, oh, we're kind of slowing down, and we're focusing a little bit more on these, like, other storylines and things like that. And so I'm like, I don't know if I like that as much. And by the time I got to the next book in the series, I kind of realized, I'm like, okay, now I get why we're doing this. I've just recently, and I'm almost complete with my re-listen, because the next book is coming out. It's already out now, I think, for physical and ebook, but the audio version, which audio for me on this is like a must, comes out September 1st, which should be the same day this video is coming out, and so that's why I'm talking about it now. I figure this is kind of good timing. But doing my re-listen, and I actually really kind of more so realize why it is done the way that it is done, because it is set up and it has still these moments and it still toes the line, but there is a much bigger story here than originally is readily apparent, and things kind of grow more and more complex as we have the characters. So we have the cat who's just been pacing in my lap, so we're just going to put her up there so that she's distracting you too and not just me. She does like to be a shoulder cat, so I could absolutely see if we were in a dungeon, she'd be hanging out on my shoulder and then being a menace. So that's why I picked this cat. We have two, but she makes more sense for the character. So anyway, so we start to really focus more so on the storylines. And it makes sense in the context of it, but it is really more, it's more than just this dungeon show, for sure. There is a lot going on with it as well, because you have the people in the dungeon, and you have, like, subplots there. You have the AI who has things that they want to do. You have all of these other companies that are involved and devote money into this, and they all have agendas, and it's knowing that this is just a thing that happens. Planets are specifically like set up in there, and then they go and decide, okay, we're going to go destroy this planet as like a mining operation, and then do this game, because really it's just this and it's the entertainment. And so there is a lot of commentary. You can see it pretty clearly in the first book, and it does start to focus on a lot of other stuff in the subsequent books, but it's still very much there, is the thing too. As the further you get, the more we're looking at these bigger stories and these more crazy things happening, but it still continues to toe the line there. It's not always moving as quick, but man, is there still plenty of action and just crazy stuff happening. So if you try this out, the first one, like I said, it's moving pretty quick. There is a lot of action, a lot of messed up stuff. If you feel like there's not enough story, you definitely will get more of that. If you're like me and you start the second book and you're like, oh, I could do with a little bit less of the story plots in game, and more interested in everything else that was going on, I feel like you just kind of get used to it, because it is mixed very well. These get a little bit longer and more elaborate and complex as it's going, but also the plot of the game is it's a dungeon. You're moving down into deeper levels and floors of the dungeon, and so naturally things are going to get crazier and more complex. But the deeper pieces here, I think, are what really tell a compelling story, because we have, the guy who walks into the dungeon wearing just boxers and a jacket and no shoes, and we have a cat that is turned sentient, basically, and able to talk and communicate. And so it seems like it would just be this silly, ridiculous thing, and that's all it would be. But in reality, they're actually both a very compelling characters. There's a lot of other compelling characters, and it's the way that it explores this, where you have a lot of the stuff, and the humor does get a little bit more kind of biting as you go along too, because it's still there, but the silly jokes just feel kind of almost less appropriate, and that's the point, because it's still being played for the audience as this comedic thing. It's entertainment, but all of the real people, and as you find out more and just kind of see really how difficult their situation is, that duality and that kind of dichotomy between the two is really, really compelling to read. So this is more than just silly, stupid fun. It actually has great characters, and really, really kind of goes into that and continues with the commentary, which fits really well into the story, the way that this is developed as well, and just does a lot. And all of this I've just been saying about the series, and I haven't really talked that much about the audio yet, but the audio comes through Sound Booth Theater, also, which they didn't ask me to advertise for this or anything, by the way. I'm just doing this on my own volition because I'm really excited for the next one. But Sound Booth Theater, they do full audio dramas. I believe they're also releasing a full audio drama version of the first book also on the first when the new one comes out. I have only listened to the ones that are out now. So they're still just kind of regular audiobooks, but they also are a little bit more. There are some effects, there are some sounds, and it's not over the top, but it's things that really add to it, or different effects on voice sometimes, if it's the AI or if it's other things like that. And so it's the way it's done, it gives you something a little bit extra, I feel like, than just the average audiobook for sure. Jeff Hayes, who narrates it, is also just fantastic and does an amazing job. So these are, I don't think I would ever read these physically, because I just enjoy the audio so much. Now there are some things, because this is a lit RPG, something I will note though, you do go over stat changes and top 10 lists of the crawlers and things like that. So I feel like the nice thing is, if you're reading this physically or ebook, you could kind of skim those instead of having to actually listen to it be listed off. But honestly, it's such a small amount of things like that it just hasn't really bothered me. That kind of thing is usually where I do end up with an issue with lit RPG, because I don't really want to read all that kind of stuff. But the audiobooks are just so entertaining that it doesn't really bother me at all. And so while I'm still pretty hit or miss on lit RPG, this series is very much a winner for me as well. And if you look, the first book has a 4.56 on Goodreads with over 12,000 ratings, almost 12,500 ratings. And the next book actually is 4.59 with over 10,000 ratings. So, like, these are very popular within the groups. Now, I think part of that too is the groups that this is really popular with, this is their thing, absolutely, and it's not mine typically. And so that's where I feel like I wasn't expecting to fall into the camp of the group who was really going to love this and be recommending it, but I really did. I really enjoyed the first book, and then I made that review, and then looking back and seeing it's been one of my most successful videos. Once again, I never would have guessed, and I wouldn't have continued just because of that. Like I said, I haven't actually made another video about it until now. But especially listening again, they're so entertaining that I enjoyed listening again, even though I remember what's going to be happening. It's just entertaining. But also, I feel like the way that I approached the books, knowing what was going to be coming, kind of understanding why the focus shifts a little bit into the deeper into the stories within the different levels, it makes a lot more sense. And so I feel like I'm like, I can see where this is going, and I understand why it shifts like this. And it does it in kind of a way that it builds to as well. I think each book usually is covering a floor. It starts off with more, but that's where, like, I'm not actually sure how many books there are going to be in this series, but each floor then in the dungeon is more complex. There's more going on. There's more of the stories. There's more of this. It's more complicated, so we spend more time with it. And so it kind of happens gradually. And so I feel like you do get eased in and you build it to everything that's going on. And it for me, it works really super well. So this right now, there are 5 books out with the 6th coming out today. The 6th is called The Eye of the Bedlam Bride. And I am very excited to get to this. I've just realized that I did not put this on my readathon prompt video that just came out as of filming this. So I might have to actually make a change, because I'm definitely going to listen to this immediately as soon as my pre-order comes through for the audiobook on Audible. So I'm going to be listening to it immediately. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Like I said, just going a little bit deeper into the things that I really have enjoyed about Dungeon Crawler Carl as a series, if I can talk. There really is just a lot more there than meets the surface, and it toes the line really, really well between, there's definitely over-the-top action, because they're basically, in a game, and so you're going to get that, but the way that the characters have grown, and as we found out more in the situations, and kind of seeing everything, and what it is building to, I am so excited. The further you get into, you start to get some little bombshells here and there of big things that you probably weren't expecting or weren't sure how it was going to happen. And so I am really, really excited to see how this builds up. And this is when I'm super, super curious to see how this is actually going to end. I don't know, once again, how many books this is going to be, but I have no idea what on earth Matt Dinniman, the author, is going to be doing for the ending, because it's just, there's so much going on. But I've very much enjoyed my ride so far. And so if you're a fan already and watching this, I imagine none of this is particularly new to you, but if you are watching this and you have not checked it out, I definitely recommend giving it a shot. I know this isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, but it is just, they're very entertaining as audiobooks, and the books are really well written as well. The characters are super compelling, and the plots are getting more complex and really interesting as we go along as well. So there's really a lot to love here, even if lit RPG is not your thing. Because like I said, it's really not mine either, but I've really, really enjoyed my time with this series. So there you have it. Those are some thoughts I just wanted to talk about with the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. I like I said, definitely recommend giving this a shot. If nothing else, just trying out the audio to see what you think. And I'm super excited to get to the next book, which hopefully, when this video comes out, I will have it and be able to start listening to it very soon. So that's it for this one, though. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, any books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And, of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.